Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Tuesday Voices of the Alternative World. This is August 16th, 2016, and we are focusing on music tonight. And we hope that all of you are feeling uplifted and perhaps thinking of the music that has been important to you in your lifetime. It's been certainly, for most of us, there's been a soundtrack that's carried us through our lives and highlighted parts of our lives that were really important. So anyway, and we know that music reflects emotions and it's very strongly emotional. Plus it can be very spiritual too. So we will now invoke the law of one, and we invite all our guides and all the fairies and the the earth spirits and the muses, and all the beings that are here to support us in our journey here and provide us with inspiration and protection and carrying on with the light to bring more light into the world and more love and light and peace and harmony. So with all that being said, we are all one. And when one is harmed, all are harmed, and when one is helped, all are helped. Therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all there is, I ask that only that which serves the highest good of all happen here and now. And I give thanks that this is done, and so be it.
Amen.
Amen. Blessed be.
Sonny, good evening, everyone. This is Gail, the co-host on the music portion of the Tuesday's programs, and Sonny, I was gonna ask you if I was thinking, we need a theme song, and I bounced around a lot of them, and what I came up with was John Lennon's "Imagine." That really characterizes our spiritual understanding of things, and that really imagining everything has at one time was an idea. So in a sense, everything that we have added to the world has come from our imaginations, and music in particular is one of those things. And you'll hear different artists. They'll say, "Well, I had a dream," or "I was thinking of something, and these words came to me," and then the music, and so it's really a product of the universe's imagination, and so I think I'm campaigning for "Imagine" to be a theme song, and if somebody else has other suggestions, then please. We need a theme song for the Wednesday's program, but Sonny, you may have some music in mind, but that's the one I...
Well, that is a very good choice, Dale. There's so many songs out there that have been inspirational to me, but that is a good choice. I mean, it's not too complex, and it's very straightforward, and people really remember it very well. Most people know that song very well. So we can think about that, for the future. I think that's a good choice.
Yeah, if by consensus we can come to that's the one we'll use. We'll actually get it to a point where we can play it at the beginning of the program, and
right. Yeah, I don't even think I have a copy of that I can get a copy of it. I can get it through the download.
my plan was to read the lyrics, but the audience may not know, but my internet went haywire, so the stuff that I produced,
I'll find the words for you guys.
Okay, that would be well. Would you mind, Elizabeth, if you're reading them?
Okay, give me like 2 minutes.
Okay, gotcha. And
know them, but it's good to have them right in front of you to read.
And then, for instance, tonight, if we use that time as Elizabeth's reading the words to really meditate and imagine that world of one, and that's because that's really the alternative world that we want to create. We want one world of peace and harmony. Yeah.
And when he says imagine no religion, he's talking about the religions that are controlling, that are. I remember that, that's one of the lines. But it's, we're uniting here in our spirit, and all is one. And some of the religions will tend to separate people.
One universe, one world, one family, one, one love, a love for all things, a love for ourselves, a love for our families, a love for our friends, and a love for our enemies. It's, the foundation of the, if we're going to say, well, what's the one religion of the future? It's love. And
okay. I have it. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah.
Let's take a moment of silence while Elizabeth reads the lyrics to John Lennon's Imagine, and all of us imagine together that one world, that one alternative world that we want to create and make real.
Imagine by John Lennon. Can you hear it?
Yeah, it's a little broken up right now. But...
Can you hear the words, or do you want me to read them?
It's breaking up. I mean, it's from what I hear.
Imagine there's no hell below us. Above us, only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Ha, 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 ha. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for.
And no religion too.
And no religion too. And no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us. And the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger, or a brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. Dale, Sunny, Diamond, I hope someday you'll join us. Now, that's me. And the world will live as one.
All right. Yay. Well, that's
a profound song.
It is, yeah. It just puts a vision right out there.
So
John Lennon, yeah.
We'll take a vote when there's a large audience and see how and we'll let's collect a number of songs, because I just suggested that as being the theme song for the musical program, but there may be one out there that's even better. I'm just suggesting that we do have a theme song, and that the song Imagine is in the running, so to speak.
Okay. That sounds good. I have some lyrics up that I was thinking I would read also that I'd copied before, songs that meant a lot to me. And, I've already discussed The Light by Donovan. And I think the other night I was trying to remember the words. Somebody asked me to read them, and now I have them right in front of me. If you'd like, I could read some of the words to the Light.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Which I did play a couple of weeks ago or at some point here. Okay, now it starts out, I died, and I sighed as the chains of the flesh left me, as the moans and the groans of the friends sent me on my way to the land of the dead. Now that sounds kind of down, but it really isn't. And he goes, I flashed that my soul was unharmed as my earth form I shed, that the image of death had been a thought in my head, and the truth was a spirit am I. I sussed that my life had been a lesson chosen by me, for to purify my soul that I may be worthy to shine forth the light, the light, the light. As I moved ever upward, a great light there came, more feeling than seeing, and it filled me with shame, like a bright shining mirror, reflecting my being, my present condition of soul I was seeing. I beheld forms of great beauty that shone forth the light. With love lives they met me and cast off my fright, those great souls of ages long past. I praise the great souls of the ages who care for our needs. They lovingly nurtured wisdom's bright seed, showing the way to the light. And then I ached for the womb and the earth, and another time around, seeking circumstances the best that can be found, to give me the lessons to learn. I was born, and through childhood my soul still remembered the light, and through teens I fought fiercely for my vision of the light, when I saw Mom and Dad had forgot the light, the light, the light. That's it. It still gives me shivers even reading it. Gives me shivers.
Yeah, that's a beautiful lyrics. It just
well,
that's I was thinking of, as you were reading the lyrics, because I think musical lyrics are really poetry, and I think that you can mix music and poetry and be in the same creative vein, so to speak.
Oh, yes. Yeah, well, a lot of the time that's what the lyrics are, when they're of a higher vibration.
so we'll add poetry as another facet of the musical diamond.
Oh, yes. But then with the addition of the sounds, it just adds real dimension to the whole thing. I was tempted to try to just sing it, but anyway.
I want to interject. Just last week we talked a little bit about music, and then we talked about listening to. Dale just made a comment listening to other cultures' music and other countries' music. Well, I want to encourage you guys because your vibrations are working. Because inside of me, last week I didn't listen to music, but I ended up watching a Chinese or an Asian movie that I have to read the words. So it's like sinking into my heart. I want to encourage you guys. See, just by us talking, things get inspired inside of us. Nice, huh?
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's great. Well, yeah, other cultures, it certainly helps us to tune into their energy, the energy all around the world. And, well, Hawaiian is something that I've been close to. It's part of the United States. But yes, another.
Yeah, the Polynesian music from the Pacific Rim. And my favorite, if I was going to pick one geographical location where the rhythm is and sounds, and that is the area in the Caribbean and Latin music, and going down to South America and Argentina and Africa. The Atlantic, the African rhythms and melodies, and there was one of my favorite albums is Paul Simon during the apartheid period, where he went into the South Africa and got these musicians together and incorporated the African rhythms into his music, and I thought that was really, really, really powerful, and it really added momentum to the whole anti-apartheid movement by getting their musical culture and making it a real part of the process.
Do you remember the songs that he did that had that in it? Because I can't offhand. I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm. Here I am. I cursed the modern age, but now I'm upset because I don't have my computer.
Oh yeah. Well, it's certainly helpful to us.
Yeah, because I could just Google it, and I'd have the name. But it's there's something Mombasa. There was a musical band that South African band that he toured with, and
I really like Paul Simon. I always have. He's one of my favorite musicians.
Oh yeah, I'm a parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme cook.
Oh yeah, I saw them in person when I lived back in Boston. I saw them at least once in person. Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah, wow, that's a gift.
Yeah.
And that was throughout the '60s. There a lot of their music was part of the theme song of the '60s. Oh. And Jefferson Airplane and Donovan and Dylan and of course Joan Baez, along with the Mamas and Papas and the Janis Joplin. Of course, there was the Country Joe and the Fish and the Grateful Dead, and there's a litany of great bands.
And those are all meant a lot to me. But the Moody Blues was a band that really impacted me.
And you're one of the great, along with the Cream. The Cream was, to me, the trio that really opened doors in the world of rock and roll. I love Procol Harum. I thought
I like them. Yeah, I like them too. I have several of their songs that I downloaded, other than their most famous one.
people don't realize what great musicians they really were. They were just there's I think my mind goes kind of blank, but there's probably at least 10 bands that I should have mentioned during that period that I can't remember, but they all contributed to that energy,
Well, I can think of a dozen more. Crosby, Stills, Nash.
Oh God!
Of course, there's people like the Byrds. I love the Byrds.
Oh.
They're one of my favorites. And of course, then there's the female singers. You mentioned Joan Baez. Really out there is my favorite, top favorites. Judy Collins, who came to our area recently this summer.
Yeah. Joni Mitchell.
Oh, absolutely, Joni Mitchell. Yeah, those three.
Carole King and who's the author of You've Got a Friend? He's another great.
Oh, well, James Taylor and he and Carole King. They did a lot of work together, or songs together, and I have an album that has both of them on a concert that they did together. But
Elvis Presley.
Yeah, I was going to mention Elvis Presley. This is the anniversary of his passing today in 1977. Wow. Yeah, people talking about it.
Yeah. And so James Taylor actually passed away today?
No, Elvis Presley passed on this date in 1977.
Wow.
Date, August 16th.
Oh, that's epic.
I went to his house. I got a tour in his house years ago. That was kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I bet.
I want to get a tour in Prince's place. I want to get into that studio, that production studio. I want to bring things out. Anyway, I think we're going to have different. Huh?
Are they actually going to make a heritage house out of his home and studio, or that it's going to be able to have tours and so forth?
Well, my intention is all things are possible, and that this be turned into a goal thing, so it can continue what Prince's heart was, to bring out music and not get stifled by it. Not just him, but for others. But and he saw ahead of time. He had the vision of, okay, if I go away from these big corporate companies, he had the vision. He saw the internet vision that we're going to be able to do it through the internet. And look, today we are, more and more. But I think we're going to go into, okay, here's a sign of the times that we're like in like the circles and the wheels are spinning for ages and centuries. We're talking about music, and now we're at like a lull, a waiting point. Why I say that, because I noticed the other day that there's a lot of bands out there. They call them tribute bands, and they're just playing old songs from all what you guys mentioned and others, right? Tribute bands. They're just like copying and bringing that music out. So we're in a lull period now, and the way I see it, music's going to be developed, yes, over the internet, whatever, but, live bands will be inspiring like they were back in what you guys are talking about. But yet another component, more and more of people with music that just get up on the stage and the spur of the moment, boom, they start playing music, and it's so heavenly, Shekinah glory loaded with vibes. It just sinks into you, and you just get changed. What do you guys think about all that?
Yeah, well, as it blends into the intentional community world, I see that at the foundation of a lot of these communities are going to be musicians, and that there's going to be a creative component and new songs and new artists that come out of that are unimpeded with ownership. They're just going to be able to transmit without all the material considerations. And I think that the best is really musically is yet to come. You know, I really
expression will come back. Like that, yeah, the channeling of the music. And there are those that are doing that now, although they aren't widely known. But, you know, the truth is, you know, like Merle with his Signals from Malibu, you know, he was talking about how he heard it in his head, you know, and then it just kind of came through him. And that's happened with a lot of his visionary type songs. And what was I going to say now? Well, our radio station here, KVMR, I hear music on this station that I wouldn't normally hear. And, you know, there's some quality musicians around these days. You know, they aren't just the commercial type ones. But, you know, thinking back in the 80s and all, that music got really gobbled up by the industry, and it became a lot of what was being played and known by the majority of people. It wasn't the same as it was back in our day, where there was such free expression, and it was, you know, it's more like the industry just took it over, and I mean there were certainly exceptions to that. You know, but you know, there were some decent musicians that came out of the 80s that I can remember. But I think it just got even worse in the 90s. And you know, anyway, you know, it just the industry just cranked them out like it was. You know,
this music that's coming, it's got to happen because the big hint is the big bad boys. They took it down. They squelched it. The really inspirational ones that would help our inside of us. So I think music, it's going to come out because it's going to be another building stone to help us be creators inside of ourselves.
I can really be in accord with that a lot. Yeah, because and I can see, you know, what you're saying, and I was going to talk about this, how the bad boys, so to speak, you know, they didn't like the consciousness that was coming out in the hippie days, you know, the elevated consciousness, and they wanted to bring it down, and then all the negative kind of music that came about in the 70s. And you know, I was thinking about that a little bit earlier today, and you know, I mean, in some ways it was the mass consciousness, the dark that's in the young people at the time, and everything else that still needed to be expressed. But then again, it could have well been amplified by the dark, you know, agenda to just bring, you know, because I've seen a couple of DVDs recently about this, and it's like they wanted to squash the love and peace generation, you know, by bringing out all this violence in the music, you know, and it was discordant. I mean, but even at the same time, you know, we think back on the 50s when our parents didn't like rock and roll. You know, so I said, well, is this the same thing? Well, I think, well, not really. It's because, well, rock and roll, yeah.
The big thing that people used to do is go to sock hops and dances. That was the thing to do on the weekend instead of going to the bar. Well, they got bar and dancing, but dances, and that, you know, even in the Depression times, that had to lift up them, and that probably got them through that.
Oh, yeah.
I think part of it too, unlike the intentional community today, or the intentional community movement, I think there was an orchestrated effort to destroy that with drugs, because when the drug culture overtook it, then the common sense core of working together in cooperative communities and communes, that message got hijacked. And today, the community movement is made up of who've gone through school, gotten their degrees in physics and chemistry, and biology and mathematics, and are grounded in spirituality. And now, like I mentioned before, in the last 10 years, there's been a 35% per year increase, which in over a 10-year period is a 350% increase in the development of new intentional communities. And coupled with that is also the science of diet and health. And England has the statistics because they took it, and the Vegan Society has had a 300% increase, which is over a 10-year period, is 10% per year in the people who have adopted vegan diets. So now the seed was planted in the 60s, and it germinated with experience for a period of 30 or 40 years. And now,
okay.
Yeah, and now that foundation is really solid, and it's you've got organizations like the Physicians Committee of Responsible Medicine, and then you've got the Permaculture Research Institute. These are people that are scientists, and you have the global warming or climate change science. So it's all of these are giving us momentum to really make a change happen with scientific fact,
And another point is, go ahead, Sonny.
Oh, I just was saying, I was going to say that when you brought up drugs, the initial effect of psychedelics was to get people more aligned with the higher consciousness, and that's I experienced that.
And they just and the bad boys just came along and mixed it, made it stronger so it'll go away. One of my dreams is we have to start with the world the way it is now and mesh and together the old world and the new world. So for instance, one of my dreams, one of my thoughts for music is, in your own town, nowadays, this is probably in the last 10 years, they have a couple in your own town, they have 2 or 3 little events where at a park they have a free band, right? A free music. Mm-hmm. One of my dreams would be, through the production and you meet bands that really hit, when music hits your heart, and put those bands in and bring them into the communities like that, somehow, some way. Nobody would even know, and that's just impacting the communities little by little. What do you think?
Well, Elizabeth, you exactly gave confirmation to what Peter and I have been insisting on, and that is not the destruction of the existing order, but the deconstruction. It's not even demolition. It's we systematically use everything in today's world to build the new one. Everything that is good. And so this is like this civilization is like our life raft that will keep us alive until we finally get to shore. So we need to not embellish it and encourage but work together with transforming it without violence.
Yeah, violence is not the way.
and the way the bad guys work, I'll use the word sneaky and subtly and all that. Well, we're going to kind of do that, but in a good sneaky way, a good subtle way. I mean, some things, and then it'll be too late.
There is one. There is this one permaculture group, and I'll bring it up when we go at architecture with when Belden's on. But his plan is to take over the entire world and dominate it with vegetables. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to just step by step, person by person, get that systemic change in our thinking and the way we think and the way we behave, and all of a sudden, gradually over time, the world will evolve, into this. But we have to work at it. It's not going to happen without us being engaged.
Well, so many levels to work with, yeah. I still want to bring in the inspirational part that music provides, and then plus back in the 60s with the psychedelics, and it was like when I think about the Beatles, and how they changed their musical style when they started doing that. They didn't. George Harrison and John Lennon had acid given to them by their dentist, LSD, and they didn't even know they were having it. But their music really changed after that, and then George got so into the Indian when we were talking about the world music. He really brought in the Indian music, the sitar and all of that stuff with Ravi Shankar, his friendship with Ravi Shankar, and so so that was the big breakthrough. I mean, it was but then they went into meditation with the Maharishi and so it just goes on and on. It leads to other things. But,
well, basically, that the movement of meditation is we can transform our consciousness without taking drugs. But the initially when Peter Leary, Dr. Leary from Harvard, he wrote the book Tune In. Tune in.
Turn on, tune in, drop out.
Tune in. Well, it was all about the very, very, controlled use of sacraments. The indigenous peoples that use the mushrooms and the booty buttons and the rose hips, their shamans. It was always it was an act of transcendence, and it had a spiritual component to it. But and I think I think it was done right through the CIA that they got involved and they started getting the drugs, making it available, and then the cocaine and the heroin and the speed and everything.
Yeah, those drugs brought it down. Those kind of drugs brought it down.
Yeah,
and that speed and the heroin and the cocaine.
So they used that component, the sacraments, and they perverted it, and then of course the violence came, and then it just kind of. I think really the final part of it was when the Hells Angels got involved in security at one of the concerts, and and then there was a stabbing, and that was things kind of took an ugly turn then.
But there were those that carried on. I mean, that was that kind of brought down the overall cultural thing. But there were those that carried on, and some like going somewhat underground. But in the 70s was when I joined the One World Family Commune, and I first met them in '68 in the Haight, Ashbury, and was there for a while. Yeah, so we were carrying the torch through a lot of the 70s and many other groups too. But there was so much that had to happen, with the human potential movement, and there was such a mix of stuff that happened at that time. That's what I was in contact with. Especially when I moved to Maui, there was a lot of New Age kind of stuff going on there, human potential movement and all that.
This was brought up, and to answer her question, the really startling thing that came about with music and the internet was the development of that one conductor. He was, and he actually is on the process, and he's built an international chorus. And each one of these members sings in a different location on the planet, but he's linked it electronically, so the chorus appears as heard as one chorus in one place. And I think I think like the exciting things on a international worldwide basis are going to come. Then he's at the forefront of it. He's actually got and you can Google it on YouTube. I don't have my computer right now. I could give you the name, but and it's amazing because all these beautiful singers with singing individually. In a different geographical location all over the place, but it's one voice, one chorus, and it's just it's really profound. And this is the kind of thing that I expect to happen. We're going to have world orchestras, and the fidelity and the sound issues are going to be approved, and we're going to have a one world of music, a world of music, not just isolated areas, but we're going to be all able to participate on an international level. So this is really exciting.
It sounds really beautiful, like a chorus around the world. I was thinking how those of us here on the call we could do a thing of harmony, just
and I'm still
harmony.
In the process of getting talking to some people and finding out how we can, what's the best way to do this on the format of a conference call, how to introduce music. And I think it's all at the broadcast point. There's some pieces that are missing, Sonny, so that you can just pick a song and put the disc on it, and then it'll because if you listen to broadcast when you call and you hear music on being played while you're waiting, there's a back.
Yeah, they have little songs.
Those are really clear when they play those, and if your telephone reception is good. So I think what it will eventually it'll be similar to that. We'll mute the audience, and then you alone will broadcast the music with the equipment, filters, and whatever we need, and then we can listen to it, without all that static. There's electronic hardware pieces that have to be put in place, but it's not prohibitively expensive. It's just a matter of me getting to the right people, some sound engineers, and finding out how we can do it. And then as soon as I do, I'll get a hold of that equipment and send it up to you. And then I
will ask Merle if he knows about that. Because I did a show, the show I did with him. We did with him. Of course, we didn't use any special. He played music from his side, and he used his. We were on landlines, not cell phones, and we kind of tested it out ahead of time. And but it wasn't like he had. I don't think he had a special equipment. Maybe he did, but we tested it out, and I guess it sounded pretty good, all things considered.
Yeah.
And I'll ask him about that if he knows of what would be the best way to do this. To bring music into the show and have it sound real good and clear. Because using landlines all the time. I mean, for one thing, there's a bit a cost attached to it. If I use the landline every time I did the show, well, we'll just see if it'll make it better. Maybe we'll do it that way. But as far as putting the music across, but I will see what Merle has to say about that.
Yeah, I'm like I say, I'm going to continue to do the research. When I come up with the components of work, then. And you can research it too. Then we could get close to being able to play some music on the program that everybody can enjoy.
Right. Yeah. Well, I would like to play some more from Signals from Malibu.
Okay.
I have to get it queued up here. I'm going to mute out for a little while while I get it queued up. Okay. So you can go ahead and talk or whatever while I get this queued up.
No, let's just we can take this time here. If there's anybody in the audience that has any questions or comments, please climb aboard, and you have to just push *6 and mute your phone, and you can participate in the conversation. In the meantime, Sunny is, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, but we have some technical difficulties that we're going to work through, and Sunny's working on it as we speak. And again, hello? Somebody, hello?
That's me back. I just came back.
Okay.
I'm back, and I've got a song here, and I hope it sounds good because it's instrumental. How is that sounding? Hello?
Sunny?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's the thing that I'm that's distinctly different. I would say that it was my phone, but the thing of it is when you speak into my phone, when I hear you on my phone, it's perfectly clear. So it's not the internet signal. And I think what we have to do is get a phone, and it could be a cell phone, but a device that we could plug a signal into the device from the device that's playing the music. So that
I know what you're saying. Well,
yes.
Can you hear this, and how does it sound?
Well, it's a little sketchy. It's not real, but I can hear it. It's not like it's not intelligible, but it's just that it doesn't have the clarity that we're looking for. And
right.
So that's like I said, that's a work in progress, and we're gonna get there, one step at a time, and no worries. Yeah.
It's a very smooth sounding song, so I hope that it would carry over better.
If you can go, I would say go ahead and play it till to its completion, and then let it, whatever it is, and then we've got something to work towards, to improve the quality of the broadcast.
Well, that was that one that is concluded now. This one's a little faster, which may make it sound not as good, but I can go on to the next one.
Okay.
I'll just skip through these a little bit because they're very similar. Well, let's see, I'll turn this down. I was wanting to play the last song because it had the sounds from Malibu in it, like the first one did. So I have to skip ahead to that.
Yeah, it was better. The other time, the other one I listened to, I forgot to unmute it, and so when I muted it, it was clearer. And, yeah. But it's still, we've got a long ways to go before it's really going to be pleasant for everybody's ears. And it just has to do with the frequency, maintaining the frequency that's recorded through the speaker, and which is on every individual's phone. And so, and then if we mute it and then get it hardwired so that there's no what you call static or interference or backfeed, then we should be able to without a problem to get a clear signal and a clear audio.
Well, I've got this going in the background now, and I wish it sounded the way it sounds to me, because it'd be a really pleasant thing to have going on in the background as we talk. But anyway, we're experimenting right now.
We'll have but by the time the next musical show comes on, we will have some kind of a handle on it, because I do know some people that do this kind of thing, and are sound engineers at the colleges, and Long Beach City College here. So they do this thing all the time, and they also have phone calls that come in, and they're crystal clear. And so there is a way to do this. I just think there's a few components that we need to make.
Over the phone, yeah. I mean, it's different from a radio station or something like that, because they just have it all totally together, together. Yeah.
We're on the road, but we're not there yet.
Well, all right. Well, this is our intention, and we just want to spread our inspiration that's coming through the music. And like I was thinking about how, going back in history, going back and what I remember in my youth, and I listened to I liked music the whole time. I enjoyed listening to the music that came out in the 50s, and a lot of that music. And my parents really liked musical variety shows like Dinah Shore and Perry Como, and a lot of those kind. And I really liked listening to them as well. And a lot of the music they played, I enjoyed, and it just carried on and on. There's Andy Williams, there was all those Christmas shows, Bing Crosby, Frank Sinatra, and then we got hit by Elvis, and that things just changed, and so.
Yeah, well, when the heavy drug use got in, and then the 80s came along, and then the punk, the punk rock, and it just, and out of that there was some really leaps and bounds made in the musical world. Initially, it was kind of, a lot of the rap music that was grounded in rhythm and blues, that wasn't really necessarily the most popular, I really liked. I thought it was very creative. Both the rhymes and they weren't negative. They didn't have that negative connotation. There was that some of the really hardcore hip hop. There was some really dark stuff.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. So you say you like some of the rap music?
Well, the ones that had really they were there. It was grounded in the Detroit Motown rhythm and blues, and it had with beautiful lyrics. There are some of those songs that are really great, and I think some of the rhythm and blues music that's and popular music that's coming out today that is really popular has a component of hip hop in it, but it really is beautiful, And it's just that it's not all of the songs, but just there are a few real winners in there amongst all the noise.
I will bring out the fact that there's a very popular musician in this area, and he really is all over the place. His name is Michael Franti, and Spearhead, and he's got really a mix of cultures in his music. But what he speaks about is all positive, peace and love, and family and all that. And people here love him. He's got a hint of reggae, a hint of hip hop, but it's just a mix. It's his own style, but people really love him.
That's why the future in music looks really bright, because these real creative people are going to come and put this together and really make something beautiful.
Well, he can really stir a crowd, in a positive way, and I thought that was worth mentioning. It's one of the positive ones of this time.
I'll keep my. I haven't really spent the time I should on the musical component, but I am going to go on and there's a friend that I've made through the Molina Center, he's a young kid and he's really crazy about music, and he posts on my email. He keeps sending me all of this music, and I just haven't had time to, delve into it really good. But we'll do that, and I'll make a point of getting some contemporary music that is really, really great.
Okay. We have some wonderful musicians here in Nevada City area, and I'll see about getting some of those tracks too. There's she's been around a while. Paul Cam and Eleanor McDonald, they've been around since the 80s. They've been playing music since the 80s, and kind of a Celtic flavor to them. But it's all positive music, positive lyrics, and they're spiritual, people in the sense of they're for peace and love and togetherness and kindness and compassion. All that good stuff,
Yeah. Well, listen.
The sounds,
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, it is now that it is 6:30. This is one of the few times that we're able to bring the program to a close in that hour time frame. But if there is anybody in the listening audience who would like to come in and make a comment or have some questions, this would be a good time. Just unmute your phone by pushing *6 and come and join us. Is there anyone out there? Well, I heard the bell ring a couple times, Sonny. So there have been some people that came in and out, and everything starts someplace, and as we get this thing polished up and ready for the road, I expect we're going to attract more listeners.
And people that will listen later on YouTube, on the recorded line too, we should give that number out for the people that want to. I need to look back and see what the number for this show is. Just a minute. It's mentioned on the Monday show was. Hold on a second here. Okay. This one will be number 481. This is the, okay, let's see. And I'll get the phone number to whoever's listening now, which I don't know who is, but anyway, it's 641-715-3813. The regular access code 883267 #. So this is the number that you can call for past shows. Okay, I'm just making sure I have the number correctly. Correct. We should, I meant to mention Dick Darnell too, because he's got such a spiritual component of music available. And I don't have any of his. I did have a CD of his, and it disappeared. But we can.
I'm going to see Peter this coming Saturday. I'm going to ask for. He has Dick's phone number, and I'll try to get a call into him and see if he can give us some titles and some information, and invite him to come on the show as a guest. Just as in an effort to reach out and have him participate.
Yeah, even just a one-time guest, or as little as he can, even if he can just pop in for 10 minutes or so. That would be nice. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because we're all from the Faithist community, and so is he, and he should. I had a real nice visit with him a couple of years ago when he and the woman that he's helping produce, her name is Sibylla, and she's in her 20s, and she's doing some really nice stuff for young people these days. So he's been producing her music.
And Peter and I had breakfast with him. It was right around a couple of years ago in Pasadena. And Sibylla, I believe it was Sibylla. Excuse my forgetting, but that was probably Sibylla, because they were in the Los Angeles area for music reasons.
Well, that was probably the same trip where they visited me. That was in November of 2 years ago.
Yeah, that'd be
2014. Yeah.
That was about the same time.
And he's a good friend of another woman here that's a very talented musician. Her name is Annie McCann, and he produced an album for her. She went back to Colorado to his studio, and he produced an album for her. So he was drawn here to see her and to say hi to me, since we'd never actually met before.
Wow.
Even though we've known about each other, we hadn't actually met. So anyway,
he had a real powerful spiritual connection, and I was just off of an aside. So based on what he saw, what did he feel that I should focus on? And he just said, "Well, keep writing."
Keep writing.
Keep writing, okay. So since every opportunity I get, I put something together and send it out over the internet on various platforms, and so it's good practice. I'm getting. It's like anything, Sonny. The more you do it, the better you get at it.
Oh yeah. Well, if that's what's coming through you, then that's what you're supposed to be doing. You're inspired to do that. And
so anyway, did you get? You want to give the number again and the number of the broadcast, so it's clear, or did you already did?
Well, if it wasn't clear enough, I have to go back and look again.
Okay, once is sufficient. Okay. And
the reference number is 481. That's the reference number for this particular show.
Okay.
Or 481 pound. And you can always find this on the Diamonds blog. You can always find these numbers on the Diamonds Forever 31 blog that Elizabeth puts up all the time and puts up updates and all that.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's been a good evening. It's been a good sharing. It's been a flow. Appreciate all the sharing that we've been doing, and let's just keep moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank everybody for joining, and both here in this world and in the unseen. We appreciate your participation. And it was good night for now, and we'll join us next Tuesday at the same time. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Are you looking for healing or a change in your life to help you enjoy it more fully? You might benefit from a galactic energy reading and clearing from Chris Jacobs. Chris will work with you on a soul level to clear unseen negative influences, implants, programs, contracts, and energetic blocks. Chris Jacobs is a gifted energy healer. Contact him today at ChristopherStephenJacobs@gmail.com.